Oh, baby. Oh, baby. We have foul. Quick aside, everybody, before we get into the actual content, I was accepted into the Phobies Content Affiliate Program, the content creator program, you might call it. Shout out to the Phobies team, and thank you for that. But the reason I'm telling you, everybody out there, dear viewer, dear listener, is to let everybody know that I do receive some compensation from the Phobies team as a result of being part of that program. Now, I loved Phobies before, and I still love Phobies now, and I expect I will still continue to love Phobies in the future. So look forward to more Phobies content coming from Random's Thoughts. So now, on with the show. Welcome back, everyone, to Random's Thoughts. We got more fresh, hot, Fright Night action for you. This time, we have porkpork zoning in the blue trunks up here in the top left of Rent Past Due, or Raining Worms, if you've been hanging around the live stream. Which, by the way, if you want to see some live Phobies action, come on by the live stream. It's a lot of fun. RTChompGG over on Twitch. Over here in the orange trunks, the opponent is sokucubaba? We're going to go with that. We're going to say Soku. I feel bad when I screw up people's names. I feel bad. But I feel like I'm going to screw this one up. So, apologies. We're going to jump in. We have our blue player obviously going first. They start off with a Maggie as opposed to Murder Wing. Yeah, seems reasonable. And then the cowbell. Both positioned as you'd expect. We get the orange player following up with a Murder Wing into a cat. Now, the question is do they supplement it with anything else? They choose not to, which allows them to bank to 7. There's a lot of cool things that come out at 7. But this lack of board position is going to allow our blue player to get out to an early advantage. The Maggie obviously taking the top point. The cowbell actually repositioning instead of taking the center point, which is a little surprising because, well, okay, so they send in Murder Wing. I feel like you actually want to bait the Murder Wing advance in order to hit it with creep. Monday, Raining Worms. It's true. It feels like a Monday. It's Raining Worms. We're doing this live, as mentioned, over on Twitch, so got a little chat action going on. So we get a Gin Sting follow-up from our orange player, and they choose to bank to 8. But our blue player now is sitting on 9 keys because the creep came out. Now, the fact that the cowbell did not go down allows for the cowbell and creep to eliminate the cat. We still have a panic point advantage going orange, and we get a erratic follow-up, which still leaves 8 keys for our blue player. There's still some mean and nasty things that can come out. So the retaliation kill on the other 1-drop leads to a Woolly Bully follow-up to shoo away the annoying Maggie fly. And we have Stabby supplementing the forces for our orange player, just inching its way up. This is kind of a weird position for our blue player. We'll see what they actually do here. The advance from the creep leads to a spit. Is it spit? It's like this weird ethereal bite. I don't really know what in God... I'm sorry. What the hell is this? This is foul. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. We have foul. So foul is a stress level reward. Chat's going to have to help me out on what stress level it is. But this is a level 10 foul. What you didn't see when we zoned in is that our blue player is actually stress level 70. So we have some cool phobies showing up. And this is Funky Chicken. Funky Chicken is a range disease. Kind of like Pescetti, just pretty high disease. It's a level 50 stress level, I'm being told. Man, foul just looks creepy. That is unsettling. You're 3 stress levels from getting it, but can't get enough XP. You're pretty high up there, DT. So, in response, we're going to get the elimination on the creep. We get a follow-up Hevo. I don't know... I've literally never encountered foul in a game. I've seen it, but I have not played against it. It puts out a lot of damage. Has a fair amount of HP, probably not as high as, that's the counterbalance, is that it's not going to be as tanky. But this is going to be tough for our orange player to commit into. Now, the Hevo response is obviously good for a variety of reasons. Namely, it allows you to dodge the disease, but everything else is vulnerable to it. And the erratic and Maggie are able to connect with things. I fought it before, it's not fun. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. So we do see, in the true Rambolina fashion, we get another boop here out of Slammerhead, which just makes movement and positioning super complex for our orange player. So we're going to see a takedown on Maggie, because the Stabby's in position, might as well. We get a free shot, sort of free, onto the erratic, save the murder wing, good play. And we get the power down onto erratic, which is going to be important. It's going to be important because this Hevo is going to need to stay in range. Now, one thing that what should have happened here, I think. So this Jin Sting is poison. It's not going to die from the poison, but it's not going to live very long. What I think should have happened, and we'll see if this comes back to bite our orange player, but you should have invaded with the Jin Sting or retaken this point. Like, the Jin Sting is dead, right? There's no way that you're doing anything with it. A better position would have been North 1, because then it doesn't end up getting Splash. Like, Splash doesn't land on the Hevo for 2 attacks. Well, it's only going to be 1 anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter that much. Or you put it here, reclaim the point, and still hit the foul so that you flip the panic point. Either one probably would have been fine. I guess maybe this is okay in defense of this, because if you splash, that means that, like, the erratic can't... Well, I guess that doesn't matter. I was going to say that the erratic can't walk up and then full hit Hevo, but it could have, because this foul could walk in, kill the Jin Sting, which they probably don't want to do, but you kill the Jin Sting, you walk the erratic up, you then hit this, and then is the splash enough to kill the jar? It would do 5, a little over 6. This should kill the jar. I don't know if the power down from Wooly Bully would affect the electric damage. It doesn't look like it is. How many costs is foul? Yeah, I think Jack got it covered, but it's 7 keys. Instead, we see erratic laying into Wooly Bully. We get Slammerhead finishing off the Jin Sting. We see Creepy Foul diseasing Stabby. So what has this foul done? Have they gotten 7 keys worth out of this? Because it's going to die this turn. So the foul goes down. I don't feel like it got 7 keys worth of value. So we have 17 keys to 14 keys in favor of our orange player. And the position for our orange player isn't terrible. We have 1 more turn of power down. But I think this is... Are we about to learn that the jar dies? Oh, we get a high 5. I thought it was Chuck for a second, then I realized, no, that's not Chuck. Alright, so the erratic's playing it safe. Instead, it's going to splash... Oh, no. Oh, okay. I'm not sure why that went north instead of south. The Slammerhead hit. I'm still confused to this day on exactly how the boops work and positioning. I thought I had a theory. But instead, Slammerhead goes down without actually getting a successful boop. But here's the bad news. That erratic is still very much alive, and that is a whole lot of clustered units, including 2 mechanical ones. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so it absolutely would not have killed this thing. Yeah, because it would have done half damage from the other one, so even if it was powered down. For anybody who was screaming at their monitor when I was questioning whether it would get the jar earlier, obviously not. So we get a power down back on the erratic. Slammerhead wouldn't have gotten it off the map either way unless erratic was put on red and Hammerhead went the other way. Well, so just to elaborate on that, there was nothing blocking this, so the question is Slammerhead should have knocked it straight back, but there was something blocking it, so it couldn't go straight back. So it either could have gone down into the abyss or up like it did. Why did it go up? But regardless, it didn't. So, we get the power down on Erratic. We have a blue panic point advantage. We are at over 8k to just under 5k health. The high five is making its way in with the Klepto follow-up. It's not looking great for our orange player. They do have 10 keys banked, though, so depending on what is in their arsenal, they could drop something pretty threatening out. And we get an invade from the Murder Wing, who's made it all the way to turn 18, and is able to recap this bottom left-hand panic point. So we get the swing back going towards our orange player. The sheep comes in. You all know my feelings on sheep. We do get an erratic hit and splash onto Hevo, who is now gotta be hurting. 1400 health Hevo, 1300 health sheep. And we get a takedown on Wooly Bully, so no more power downs. And the swing in from Snowball allows the panic points to start going the other way. Now, the sheep is going to get a pretty solid hit here. That is not the hit I thought it was going to take. Okay, so we're going to restart this turn because I thought this was going to go up here, hit Erratic, hit this, because this thing is pretty close. It's going to be on the heart momentarily, and you're going to have to burn it down. Yeah, sheep going this way is interesting. I get landing on the dimensional and Klepto is threatening, but I feel like this is... I don't know, chat, do you guys disagree? I feel like this is a better hit. Granted, the sheep's going to die, like, all of this stuff is going to still go wrong, but I think the sheep needed to go north. So we get the challenge play here, pull stuff forward. Unfortunately, now the Jar and the Hevo are absolutely dead, because the Erratic's going to come in and splash the crap out of them. But there's still, again... Wait, what? Oh, okay. I thought it was going to stop here for a second. I'm like, no, why? Okay, so 5 of the keys are going to get invested in Fetch, which I think is reasonable. So we get a big old splash here. 2 big old splashes. Doesn't quite eliminate everything, but this is pretty big. We get the AoE from from High Five in order to finish off the Hevo and the Jar. Now the problem is that this High Five is still 2200 health. It's a huge amount of health, and our orange player seems hell-bent on clustering everything so that way either Chuck or Erratic can just have a field day. Now, part of that is the phobies they have. There's 3 melee ones as opposed to range, so it's difficult. Oh, I thought we were going to get the Contortio finish. But, Chuck, I keep saying Chuck. It's High Five. It's High Five. High Five, who also needs to brush their teeth, like Chuck, is probably going to eat here. Like, this is brutal. Clobber the heart. Oh, and by the way, it's undead, so it heals too. It's not gonna live, but, like, that Chuck oh my god. Now I can't stop saying it. It's High Five. Anyway, Erratic, that's one that I know what it is getting beat down by Murder Wing and Fetch. I imagine this Murder Wing is not going to be with us much longer. Do you have enough damage? Yeah, this is an 800 health Erratic. We have a panic point advantage orange. Despite the foul, despite the High Five, despite the Erratic, we see the orange player take it down. So GG. Let's jump into game number 2. Alright everyone, we're zoning in on Scoposium once again with our blue player, Soku, in the bottom left-hand corner, and our orange player, Porkpork, zoning in on the top right. Now, we had a very interesting game 1. Let's see how game 2 breaks down. We're starting off with a cat and a jar. I like the jar positioning here early on, so that way you can cap this stim, and then it covers both of these points. But obviously, this early in the game, you see the jar, it's kind of telegraphed, your opponent's going to have the opportunity to try and address it. That's true, Wanda. Hey, Luffy, welcome back. Alright, so we see a creep and answer jar, getting set up. Now, the cat here is going to die, most likely. You can get the creep, it'll cap this point. it'll spit, and then the jar comes in and kills it. But you get the counter kill with your own jar. So this is a reasonable position. Instead, we see the creep backing off. So it's going to stay, at least for now, a 1-0 panic point advantage in favor of blue. And we see an answer Jin Sting. So we have 6 keys to 7 keys banked for each of the players respectively. And the cat is getting the hell out of dodge because clearly it's not going to live much longer. It's going to hang around just to cap a point, but we see a stabby follow-up. I'm not a huge fan of one move phobies on this map because of the Ring of Fire here, but I am a fan of Alligator on this map, as well as Quagmire. I mean, I think Quagmire is better than Alligator overall, but on this map, both of them shine because they can basically stay, and we don't see this from our orange player, but they could come right out and stand on the lava, and it doesn't matter, because they can just sit there and heal it off. Big advantage, and may not be something that people always catch off the bat. Now, after the Alligator, we actually see a very aggressive Jin Sting going Heart. That's kind of bold, but understandably, there's not a great way to threaten it. And we have a follow-up Gravedigger breaking this obstacle. Now, this allows the Stabby to get into position to cover this. It could have done it from this spot also, so we'll have to see how this plays out for our blue player if this is something that actually works out for them. Now, we get an aggressive invade, I guess, from the creep. The creep presumably is positioning just to be able to spit on the Stabby. Notably, there's only the single healing spa, so the Stabby's going to have to trek for it. And right now, it's locked off. The Jin Sting invaded. We have a 3-to-1 panic point advantage with orange. And there's really no way to, well, not no way to threaten this jar, but the jars would have to trade here if our blue player elected to do it. Instead, they're going to advance, they're going to take down the Jin Sting, that's fair, and then soften up the jar. Now, this this Cottontail is not long for the world, but we get an answer in Hevo, which should allow our blue player to start picking off a few other things. It'll also shoo away this creep, which again is probably just going to go in here and spit on Stabby, try and force a Clinico. Well, we see the kill on the Cottontail, the invade by Alligator, who's basically safe because, let's face it, this is going to take a ton of damage. This is a level 10 Alligator with over 3,300 health. Barely over, but it is greater than 3,300. And pouring out 540, I said that backwards, 540 damage at a clip. This is a very threatening Gator. You need a lot of damage, and despite having the Stabby in position, that's not going to be enough. Stabby and Hevo and Jin Sting, even with Jar, like, that's not 3,300 damage. Wow, what level was this creep? This is a level 10 creep who tanked 2 hits from Hevo and a hit from Stabby. Wow. So we get a free shot on the Gator, but that doesn't matter. We do get a Barzilla follow-up. So we have Barzilla and Gator battle the reptiles here. We'll see if Mr. Hangover himself can actually turn this into our blue player's favor. Now, the Gator is backing off, but it's sitting on the healing spa, so now it's verging on invulnerable. And we get a boss follow-up, which is pretty scary. Right now, our blue player does still have the cat available, which is going to do exactly what you'd expect. The Barzilla vacates so that the cat can reclaim the point. Now, I would kind of expect the Snowball to be sacrificed here, so that way it can reclaim the point. But there is a spider, which is one of the few ways that you're going to be able to try and dislodge this Alligator and then actually put enough damage on it. Is our orange player going to allow that? I'm going to assume not. Because even in this position, while they can dive, it's not quite going to be, and by dive I mean advance the spider and pull, it's not quite enough. And notably, since the Alligator's there, well, if they pull, then it's going to be vacated, so it doesn't matter too much. That being said, there are enough things. I didn't actually count this. They might get it. Ooh, this is going to be a cool play if this works. Because of the way it was scrolled, I truly forgot the Jin Sting was up top. So we're going to have fire, we're going to have lava, we're going to have a jar on there. That's enough damage, or should be. that should be enough damage. That's a dead alligator. Now, wait a second. Why did they... Oh, because it was here. The Hevo, unfortunately, well, not everything, but 2 things had to stand on the lava, so there could be some nasty retaliation here. We're going to get the fireball, spitting fireballs from Snowball. It's going to eliminate the jar, and then we get a big boss hit here. Big boss hit that connects with 4 Phobies, setting up this, this fire field. And we still have Panic Point advantage orange. 6,300 health, though, so you got some time. You're taking damage, but you got time. So there's still a orange jar, which is threatening. We are able to get a very large set of bees going down. We get an elimination here onto the Snowball, just cleaning stuff up. And then a retreat here. Now the question is, do we see... Okay, we get a Clinico. I kind of feel like the Hevo should have been here, up one. And I kind of would have liked to see the Cowbell invade. The whole purpose of the Cowbell, presumably, is just to recap points. So recap the point. It's going to die anyway. Instead, we see the Noxious able to connect and poison these 2. Now, the Barzilla could have time to heal and get back to Clinico. It still has over 2,100 health. But this Gin Sting is likely toast. Either way, if either of them even get looked at funny, they're probably dead. They're probably dead. So we get a Bo Mangles follow-up, another turret, or a little turret action happening, and then a Clinico from the orange player in order to preserve the big investments that they have. Now, both players are in decent enough positions. We still have 1 remaining key for our blue player. And we get a reposition from the Hevo, who, after healing, I didn't check this, is at 1,900 health, almost 2,000 health. That's not bad. And we see an advance here. Presumably, this is enough to kill the Noxious, which makes sense. You're trading the Gin Sting for the Noxious, because clearly, as we mentioned, the Gin Sting's not long for the world. So the boss should be off cooldown soon, if not already. And this is going to make the positioning for our blue player very complex, because they're going to have to really try and avoid it. Because that's a lot of splash damage. And you don't have... Basically, you're all in on your Barzilla. It's a matter of... Is Barzilla or Boss going to make it to the end of the game? And the Barzilla is being aggressive. 6,300 health to 4,000. I don't know about this invade. I don't know what else you do. So the Barzilla could have been like here on the fire. You're not going to kill the boss, has 2,500 health. I guess you're not killing the Bo Mangles, so that's a waste. So you might as well push the damage because you're going to Clinico and heal it anyway. I feel like you needed to also get the other 1 key online, just so that it doesn't have to travel as much. Yeah, you could always do it later, but you might as well get it online. Like, what counter 1 key are you going to use here? Even if it was, say, an Electric Cat. Like, who cares? Electric Hat for the Bo Mangles, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's worth trying to bank this 1. Now, admittedly, since this advanced, this thing is going to die. Like, that's a dead murder wing. So this is a good play, and maybe this is why you saved it. You trick them. Now, this is 700. No, I'm trying to click on... There we go. So that's 5. Okay, so we wouldn't have killed the Bo Mangles. But I was going to say it might have been worth, instead of hitting the boss. And honestly... Okay, this has 1,500 health. After the heal. I was going to say maybe it would have been better instead of hitting the boss walking away, but I think softening up the boss is worth it. This is a very close game. So we get the boss reposition onto the healing spa. That hurts. And then we get a pot shot from the jar onto the heart down here. Under 4k health, 3758 right now, but still fairly healthy. This seems a little suspect. You're going to take extra damage. You're not racing. Like, it's just not happening. Now, admittedly, I don't know that there's a better position. The boss ability is still on cooldown, but it feels like the Barzilla being that far north allows this to happen. There's just... That Barzilla is never interacting with that boss again. Unless Orange pulls back for some reason. So, in the meantime, we see Panic Point advantage go Orange. And I think this is probably where and how the game ends. Because our blue player cannot pull back fast enough. And the orange player is going to have as much of a clock, if not a better clock. And they have a Panic Point advantage. Lends into the clock. And they have a health advantage on the heart. While we do see the Bowmangles go down, and then some repositions to recap Panic Points to stem the bleeding, our orange player can probably just punch the heart. This is a level 11 boss, by the way. Level 12 Jar Cannon. Level 8 Clinico. Just throwing it out there. Yeah, we're seeing a bunch of damage go down, and we're seeing Luffy things happen. It's time to just punch the heart. And they're just not getting there. What's funny is they actually left the Clinico here. I don't know if that was intentional. I imagine that it was. But it body blocks the Barzilla so that way it can't actually get down and into the fight fast enough. Not like it would have been fast enough anyway, but, you know. And we go into the dawn of the final turn. And that is, we're going to see some more heart punching. And we're going to be moving on to Game 3. GG. Game to porkpork, evening up the series. Here we are, we're zoning into Game 3 between our blue player porkpork and our orange player Soku. So porkpork here opens with a cassowary and a sokucubaba. So a fairly standard opener, 2-1. It allows for some leverage onto this smaller map, one of the maps that I can't stand. We have seen a stabby opener in an earlier breakdown. By the way, if you want to see the breakdowns live, you can head on over to the Twitch stream, RTChompGG. But in the meantime, we see a 2-0 panic advantage. Oh, buddy. Where are my sucky enjoyers out there? Because we have a level 7 sucky hitting the board here. I'm not real clear why this level 7 sucky is hitting the board, but it is. And in fact, is in an answer to K9 and a unicorn who has not laid down a trap based on the movement, and then a Gesundheit. Now, the Gesundheit I can respect on this map. It can pop onto the obstacle and then take pot shots. But just like we saw last game, we're actually seeing some heart punches going on. In fact, here we have a cassowary and sokucubaba invade. This is a little odd. But we get a Jin Sting follow-up because the Sucky was an underdrop last turn. The Jin Sting is now enabled this turn, and the combination of this particular Phobies setup does allow a lot of damage to come out, because you can get a leap, you can get a Jin Sting hit, you can get a leap from here. Even this K9, which is fairly sturdy, is likely to go down. Unless we get a Jin Sting hit into a jar hit, I almost said cat hit, and I'm not sure why, which eliminates these two Phobies 3 keys down the drain. So in the meantime, we get a Sucky leap plus Jin Sting hit to soften up our trap layer here. Now the trap is probably... The trap could either be on the spot or down here because it only moved one space. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4... Yeah, it was here earlier. And we get the Electric Cat follow-up, which we've talked about this before. Unless... we've talked about Electric Cat. I don't like Electric Cat. To me, it's just a 1-key phobie. So that's probably what we're seeing here, is it's just out there to collect points. Yes, it can beat up this. Yes, it could hypothetically one-shot a jar. Are those things going to happen? No. They're probably not going to happen. So we get repositioning here, and then we get a creep follow-up. Now, our blue player is on 4 Phobies, so whereas our orange player is on 5. So our orange player is locked into their army at this stage. So our blue player could leverage that to bank, and in fact they do. They get up to 6 keys because they underdrop. But what are they going to do? Because they need to reclaim the board, and they need to fight these Phobies. And we actually see a 3-0 panic point advantage now. Given that the cat is out of position, at least to hit the canine. It's probably going to have to go in. We will get, or could get, some hits onto the canine. But instead, despite the healing spas being on this map, we're going to see a creep spit onto Jin Sting. That's not bad, but it's not great. Because, as mentioned, healing spa. But we get a Klepto follow-up, which should necessitate our orange player taking their hits and walking away, unless they feel pretty bold. Now, I could see an argument that maybe they beat up the Jin Sting. They could probably take it down between, all of their range stuff. But we're going to see a takedown on the creep. We're going to see a takedown on this other Jin Sting, so I guess it dies anyway without too much effort. And now it's Klepto and Electric Cat versus a fairly sizable army. This Jin Sting is going to end up on the healing spa. This is looking real bad for our blue player. It's looking real bad for our blue player. So we finally see K9 go down. Electric Cat scores a takedown. But we get a bank from blue in order to get to 6 keys. Whatever they do better be very strong because our orange player is able to summon an alligator. Maybe not the best expenditure of keys, but as we saw in the previous game, well, this is a level 7 alligator. It's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. And given what's going to come out of our blue player, just in general, it's going to be difficult for them to actually eliminate this thing. This alligator is going to make it to the end of the game one way or another. And we do see a takedown on Gesundheit and softening up of the jar, but that means Klepto's in range of virtually everything. This is going to be 5, 10, 14, assuming there's no trap here. I guess that's not too much damage, but if there's a trap here, it's going to be bad. All right, so no trap. We get the Cerberus follow-up. I don't know about this Cerberus, because clearly the cat's going to go down if they're not beating up the Klepto. And now it's 2v4. Really 2v5, because there are still 5 keys remaining on our orange player's side. And 3 of those 5 keys, one of the phobies that's going to show up is Murder Wing. This one, we have 5 turns left, but I think everybody out there watching this can see where things are going. I think there were just some unfortunate throwaways from our blue player in this particular match that, if you had them back, could be in a much better position. The panic point advantage was in blue's favor temporarily, but that was very much just orange didn't need to reclaim those points. It wasn't necessary. I sense a heart slap. That might be their only out, but even Cerberus is not going to make it here. It's going to take, 1.5 turns worth of moves, excuse me. Now this thing is in the teeth of the enemy forces. We do see an elimination on the jar, but this is pretty rough. And there's 2 keys still left, by the way. We might be getting a heart slap going the other direction. So we get all the panic points going orange. We get a Maggie follow-up. We get the alligator and Murder Wing positioning to slap the blue's heart, which is currently at 3,600 health. So a slight deficit for our blue player, but at this point, our blue player thinks they could race. I don't know about that one, Chief. The combination, you're doing as much damage as a single Cerberus hit just from the panic points across the 2 turns. So you can definitely make up for the rest with the rest of these phobies, plus the life deficit. This is very much a Luffy Things game. We get the Maggie hit. Maggie hit is not enough to kill it. I didn't want to click on it because I wanted to keep the suspense. Oh no. Oh, 24 health. And just like that. Just like that. Never even close. Never even close. GG. Good game to both players. That was a really cool finish. That was a really cool finish. And if you're interested in getting some of your own really cool finishes on stream, or you're on YouTube, hit up the Random Thoughts Discord, I do game breakdowns for non-Fright Night games, of course, but if you're interested in playing a Fright Night, you can check out all of the Fright Night stuff there as well. But that's going to do it for this breakdown. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and Black Lives Matter.